start with my fellow colleague wearing a green jacket, Patrick Prinz, it's like consultant, works for Fairway family office based in Zurich. We had Ahmad Piraiee, startup grind. And we have Jedrzej Iwaszkiewicz from the Heart based in Warsaw. Let's start maybe with Jedrzej. The topic of our panel is about investing into Web3 and accelerating innovations, investing into startups in the Web3. What Web3 really is to you? How do you understand Web3? I would also like to ask further other panelists, so we can first, clarify what do we understand by Web3.
Yeah, so basically Web3 for us or for me is this, let's say, new wave of set of technologies that are appearing and the movement that is behind it. In terms of the implementations that we see and in terms of the, let's say, the fueling part, how we see it, we see this new wave that is having the separate, let's say, layer, and there is a traditional way and traditional business that are not necessarily using and talking to each other. And right now we are in the brink of, let's say, taking the new stuff into the traditional world. So pretty much this is what we see. And I'm not a Web3 guy. I'm more a traditional side of the business. On the traditional side of the business, we work with the big corporates, so they are slightly reluctant in terms of adoption, but we also see if it's, let's say, well set and well explained, we have possibilities and ability to implement stuff also for the big corporates, also with the, let's say, traditional VCs and so on. So I can help a bit.
Yes, go ahead. I mean, Ahmad, we had a conversation yesterday, a very vivid conversation over dinner. Yes. You are definitely a Web3 guy.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm also a rock star, so just in case you see. I had a concert last night. You missed it. I had too much public speaking this week that I just really lost my voice, so apologies for the tea part. No, please, thank you. You can hold my beer, but not this one. So, I can easily go to the energy sector because I think that explains things way easier. So there was a time that you were either a producer or you were a consumer. There was no middle way, meaning that you basically either were just going to energy sector and was like, I want to have 4 kilowatt of energy, or say, I'm producing 4 kilowatt of energy, who's going to buy it from me? But right now we are prosumers. Most of us, hopefully those of us that are progressive. I'm not sure if anybody's from California, so don't listen to me. But outside of that, technically, whatever you're trying to do is you produce and consume. And that's the way that you would be able to find this healthy balance in the middle. So I think that's the perfect way and perfect metaphor for Web 3.0. It means that there is no line between the producer and the consumer. So everything is mixed to a very good extent.
Yeah, for us, Web3 is the evolution from like read to write to own data. And I think it's a missing element. If you look at the way the internet functions today, you have to go through ISPs or kind of the middlemen, those who aggregate data. And they have to, because for them, the monetization model doesn't allow them to price microservices that exist, right? How much costs a Google search? How much is a GPS signal you receive? How much is a one-time login? And these microservices have been around for a while, but we haven't been able to monetize and price them. And now, for us, this is now the missing puzzle piece to enable a lot of visions, I think, that we all have, including things such as autonomous driving, where machines communicate with machines, and humans with machines. And you can now do this very effectively without giving up the ownership of your data.
You gave a couple of examples, a couple of issues that are incrementally embedded into Web3. How do you think, startups from the AI, blockchain, IoT industry, which is the main theme of this conference, how they can tackle some of the challenges that Web3 brings? Patrick, you want to start?
I see it less as a challenge, more like as an opportunity. Most of the business models we look at, they are very data heavy. And again, how can you monetize this data that you create? how can you effectively share it with others without necessarily giving up control? How can you able to monetize very little data that you share? We're looking at various business models. For me, blockchain per se is not an industry, right? And we have a blockchain bias in our portfolio, but it's a technology that enables all the other industries. So we like cybersecurity, we like supply chain, we like e-gaming, data heavy business lines. The mistake or the experience we have made a bit ourselves was that we were very excited about blockchain and we invested heavily into what I would call blockchain native business models. So people that are, shared our excitement and they created solutions, but were basically looking for problems afterwards. And you can see this in our portfolio performance, and it kind of created a change in thinking. What I like to do now is business models that standalone already make a lot of sense, right? Because it's a cool, I don't know, medtech idea, or it's a agri-tech, food tech. We look at all of this. Reg-tech is a big topic. We discussed it earlier. But there might be an element that makes the business much more competitive, gives them an edge over competitors by adding blockchain. And so we look at it as an enhancer, as an opportunity for these companies.
Yeah, I can relate to that, and add on top of that we see we are always, because we are a venture building company, so we always look on the corporate side, what is the challenge behind, and then we adopt the technology to the challenge, not necessarily solving the technological problem and then find a challenge that we can solve with this technology. So, and we see more and more use cases where you're able to embed blockchain technologies, for example, in a very traditional businesses, without saying that this is, NFT-based referral code. You can just say that this is a referral code that is giving value, that is increasing in value, and this is something that you can then sell, and this is something that will pay your kickbacks immediately in two forms of blockchain or in Bitcoin and fiat, and pretty much that's it. You don't need to explain that this is what kind of technology lies behind this, but the use case is, if it's interesting and if there's a challenge behind it, the technology is something, let's say, on the backbone of it. So so it's always challenge based, and I think this is the crucial thing to adopt the technology to the challenge.
Thank you. How many of you knows Airbnb? Good. How many of you think it takes more than 2 seconds to say what Airbnb is doing? That's the problem with Web 3.0. It usually takes 30 minutes so that somebody will explain what they do. And then I was like, yeah, but how is it different? Then it takes another 30 minutes to explain it. And also when you say the word startup, it's very interesting because in such a small industry, it's like you're married for how many years? 6 years. How is it possible that you have a kid that is like 15 years, right? And just think about it. No, because that's the inception. That is the moment that Web 3.0 is so small that even if the biggest corporation is trying to be inside of Web 3.0, they are a startup in that place. There's no incumbent. Like we were there at 80s, guys. We're doing Web 3.0, trust me on that one. We're all the startups in that sense. But there is a problem. How many of you guys work in real estate? Oh my God, you're nobody here. So, because I'm sure they're behind their landline trying to answer the phone for the next mortgage that they want to have on a piece of paper. They're not even in the web. Forget about a Web 2.0 to go to Web 3.0. So a lot of the startups sit at home, and I was like, I'm going to create an exchange for real estate stocks on blockchain that is powered by AI. And you go there, and I was like, can it just connect me to the landline of Joe? First, you have to see where the industry is going to bring them to the next level. So for the real estate guys, just try to keep their landline out of the table, and then we will talk about the next level.
I just want to add to this. I have a background in investment banking. I was advising a big international hotel chain. And we very early on looked at, or they very early on back then looked at Airbnb. And over multiple rounds where they came back and pitched, the guys was like, it's absolute nonsense. Like nobody will rent a private room. it takes some time for people to understand, right? And I think we're still very early. And that's exactly the opportunities that people like us have, right? We try to be bolder than others. We have money that we actually risk, and we're willing to lose, and we have lost money. But at the same time, we kind of trust that there is a lot of creativity with this new wave of entrepreneurs. And over time, and I will come to this later as well, because we invest a lot of education. We want to learn together, we want to explore together. We believe that enterprises will understand, and we all will understand what it actually brings us.
Yeah, but commenting the real estate case, I think let's say the gap that they need to close, and there is a lot of industries that needs to close that gap, is actually a big opportunity for Web3, because they don't need to go into Web 2.0 anymore. They can just go to the Web 3.0, and it's creating a new, let's say, ground for new implementations with the big players. And actually, the real estate market is a market that is very interested in implementing something super, super new, because they are super behind.
I didn't say anything bad about it. Like, startups happened because the real estate had a lot of pocket money just to put in, in a sector that it was a bit more risky. But what I'm trying to say is, most sectors that they are getting massive level of adoption to different things is because they don't make enough money. If you are in a sector that you are fine with your return on investment, don't touch something that works, like investment banking, high frequency trading. I would work on a solid solution. Give me the Neuralink $7 billion. When I see that the response rate is going to be 1 millimeter, like closer to my data center, one fraction of like a millisecond closer than my competition, I pay for it. But I don't risk on a multi-billion-dollar business. My startup has a chair, has a website that my uncle made, and nothing. So if I would risk it, my uncle is just going to kick me out of his place. I mean, that's all I'm going to lose. So a lot of sectors that they are very easy as adoption because they have nothing to lose. Also, I really like what you said about Airbnb and being crazy. Jason is one of the investors that invest in Airbnb, and he said, I invest in them because the dude was crazy. That's a good thing, guys. If you want to invest in a Web 3.0 idea that is good, forget about it, because most of the things has to sound at least crazy on the paper.
Perfect. I mean, you described some of the problems, or maybe that you shouldn't create actually new problems. But when you invest, or your funds, your companies invest, or advise startups to raise money, or you want to accelerate startups, what you really look at? Let's say there is a startup that comes to you, they have an idea, they determine that there is a niche, there is a problem, they know how to solve it. What would you look at before you invest, before you raise money? What would you look at the startup?
There's a Polish side and a Swiss side. They are way more comfortable than us. So is there anybody from KNF here? Because if you are, you have to say. So I think everything goes back to regulation part. Because if I want to be crazy, and if I want to touch something, then later my whole company is going to go down. Just something to mention about other things that I do aside from Startup Grind, that is my community of entrepreneurs, is also I'm building an equity crowdfunding platform. And that's, if some of you guys know me from a stage, I'm a very honest and straightforward person. Like, we don't want to lose our license. So I'm not going to talk about innovation. First, we have to make sure that we're regulatory compliant. Then we have to talk about what idea is going to bring the best return on investment for us. Because if right now we say that, Polish countries, Polish citizens or whatever is going to accept that adoption tomorrow, and I was like, I love money, but I prefer to be regulatory fine with these things. The CEO of Google had this thing and said, the only innovation that Europeans are frontier comparing to North Americans are regulation. We're very good at regulation. We create regulation on top of regulation, and we're proud of it. So that's the thing. You have to follow the regulation, not innovation, unfortunately.
How about team? How about the spirit, motivation of the founders? What about this type of more tangible things?
There's a huge human factor early on. Startup, seed money, it's about, a group of people or individuals that have a vision. So you check on them. Do they bring the full package to really pull it off? Do they have the character, the emotional resilience it takes? And you know, if we share the vision, fine, but it's really the people that we due diligence a lot. Plus, I have to say we like experienced industry experts rather than kind of fresh off the college students, right? In general, because they bring market access and they have insights into what doesn't work already in the industries where they come from. Often they detect a new technology and they say, well, you know, this might solve an industry problem we have. How about, you know, I go get self-employed and solve this industry problem for everyone?
Yeah, it's probably a hard question for me because we're building startups from the scratch rather than investing them directly. But when we build them, we also see, let's say, the failures that we already made, so we can, you know, have a some conclusions on it. So I would say first thing that we always look at, and I would recommend it to do it for everyone and for startups that are launching, is a challenge that you're solving, and that you have a challenge and let's say distribution channel behind this. So if I solve this challenge, what is my first implementation partner that will help me to distribute this, so I'm able to create like a very, very precise business case that I know at least this is my floor for revenue from this client, and everything above is an upside. So how I should manage costs, and also funds like to look on the let's say pragmatic side of the business as well. So so this is the, let's say, first two, and then I would agree with the team part and the founder part. It wasn't so obvious for us. We were always believers that we can run the startups by ourselves, or we can run startups with maybe some corporate or our employees or corporate employees. It doesn't work like that. It needs to be someone who is super motivated and it's really onboarded with the vision and have ability to, because in good times everyone is happy and it's a, you know, it's a good thing to be a CEO of a startup, and when the bad times are coming, then you need to be very good and skilled to basically push through, and you need those people to run the startup.
I mean, we are in Warsaw, Poland. Adding a little bit of a local accent here, and I can share my personal story. So 2017, Poland, 2016-17, Poland was one of the top countries when it came to adoption of blockchain and crypto. The number of holders of crypto wallets, I think Poland was fourth or third in the world. And throughout my journey in the blockchain space, I've seen Polish people almost in every single blockchain project that is performing. Layer 1 applications. We've heard today some stories from several early adopters of blockchain and crypto here in Poland, some of them very successful. You're operating in Poland, Patrick. You have some exposure. You've worked with Polish startups. You've worked with Polish people. What do you think is advantages still when it comes to Poland as a place for doing business innovation in IoT, blockchain, and AI? And what is disadvantages?
I mean, how many of you guys are Polish? Good. So I'm just going to preach to the core. So just bear with me. Amazing country. Even Polish people do not promote Poland properly. So let me, as an Iranian, try to just correct me if I'm wrong. When it comes to board games, when it comes to games, Poles are also on the top of the world. World class. And crypto, not blockchain, came literally from the gaming sector. So when you are in a country that out of 4 people, 3 of them are playing board games and they are active gamers. So you already have a core team around that. Add another layer of having the best developers in the world on top of that. Then you have to not even ask question of why even Poland is not the number 1. Add another layer on top of that, having the top 5 STEM graduates in the world, then we don't even have to ask that question. It's like,
then what happened? But
that's what I'm trying
wrong?
to say. Polish people have this, where do you live?
Not in Poland.
That's the problem. Polish people are amazing at blending and becoming someone else. Polish people are very good at just knowing where is the capacity of my country, and then they go. And that is the way that if you really look at it, crypto, B2A was doing an amazing arbitrage trading because the price that they had was way better than others. So smart people were just doing crypto in Poland. They were not even Polish, but they needed a Polish account. So they say, Jedrzej, just give me something because I have to do something and put it on B2A. So a lot of things happened there. But then the Polish regulatory things and everything was so rigid that most of those projects moved to Zug, moved to Estonia, moved to Malta, moved to Cayman Island. There's still Polish people. It's just that the projects are out there. Or even better than that, they made enough money to buy a mansion in California. I'm not sure how many of you guys are Bitcoin billionaires and Ethereum billionaires, but I'm sure you're not going to raise your hands, so I'm not going to ask. But when you are like that, it's way easier to buy a house in Dubai than in Warsaw with those things. So those guys left. I can show you that one of them is just creating an island for himself and he's trying to teach people yoga. And the other one is trying to just build a software house around Web 3.0 in California. So they are still happening. It's nobody detects them. And also, I'm going to say that my name is Charlie, and my name is Nazwisko, something. And I was like, but you're Jerzy. I was like, yeah, but I live in California, so call me Charlie. We don't even know if that person is Polish. So,
I mean, Jedrzej, some of your clients are really big corporates. Why do they choose to work with you? They are global corporates. Do they choose with you, and why do they want to accelerate innovations in Poland?
Yeah, it's probably a question to them what they want to work with us, but we are super good. That's the the honest answer. No, but I think the technology-related market is one of the things why they want to work with us, and there's of course price advantage to it. So we are a good quality tech market for the very, let's say, more complex technological problems that we are able to solve. So I guess this is the one part. The second part that we see is happening is that we are still a hungry country. So they know that we will work our asses off to basically get out or to create wealth, or we have a lot of things to prove still, and it's not necessarily the case for the Western European countries, for example. So those are, I think, the arguments that we push a bit harder probably, and the price advantage, and the technological, let's say, advancement that we already proved that we are a good country to build tech in.
Patrick, you want to add some?
Yeah, I've made fantastic experience with Polish colleagues. Some of the best I've ever worked with.
Okay, thank you. That's the end of the panel.
And that's the reason why I'm here. I wonder as well, why does where so few see that? Yeah, why is it that people move out of the country? And I've spent yesterday doing lots of different meetings. I'm amazed by how this city has developed. I'm amazed by the creativity of some of the entrepreneurs. And I don't know, I've just a lot of question marks. Like, why is it so underestimated somehow?
can I just, as a person who lives in both countries, I'm going to put you in a stereotype, put me out of that. When you go to Zurich, ask somebody, what is the best coffee shop in the city? I'm sorry, I don't know, and they leave on that side, because that's my coffee shop. You are not going to go there, because they have 4 chairs, and one of them is mine. This is the same in Poland. You just come here, and I was like, if I am not raising money, I'm sorry. Like, there's this Joseph Stalin's Palace of Culture, and nothing else is happening around that, But then they go outside, they have like 400% return on investment. I was like, why didn't you tell him? And I was like, dude, it's my money. I'm going tomorrow to PARP, and tomorrow to NCBR, and tomorrow to other places. They have 4 places to fill. One of them is mine. So I really felt that level of Swiss mentality, that I was like, I know the best coffee shop, but it's my coffee shop. In Poland, most of the time, they love the country, but if it really doesn't have any added value in it, then I was like, I know we're good. And also, we're very humble people, so if you say we're good, then I was like, I'm sorry, no. It's fine, Have you ever went to Czech Republic by any chance? So I would say it's a very cultural thing, and I don't think they're wrong. Right now, Poland, for the past 30 years, outside of China had the only non-bumped growth GDP per capita. Poland right now is becoming the second biggest producer of lithium-ion batteries. That is going to be the drive of the innovation globally. Top 5 in the STEM graduates globally. This is not that you're going to have a real estate bubble or the tulip mania or whatever. It just shows that Poland is becoming a very stable country. Even as much as I'm not proud of that, as much as I'm not happy about that, even the current investment in military and security, this is a long-term, large investment that is going to bring a lot of liquidity to this country. It's a very stable country. But if you really think anybody is just going to say this on TVN or TVP, change the channel.
Well, thank you. Look, we are slowly coming to an end of the panel. Very quickly, 30 seconds each. One recommendation, or you can have two if you're quick, to a startup that wants to start in the Web3 industry. What would that be?
Yeah, I mean, right now we're still in the phase where there's the battle of the blockchains, right? Many startups create even their own blockchain. I think the economics are not there to support many. And so I recommend to build an infrastructure which is highly scalable, provides you reliable, low-cost fees, and allows for all kinds of use cases, so higher functionalities, tokenization, smart contracts, whatever you need. It's, I think, an illusion that will have, we jump between different blockchains. It will just not be as easy as people think.
Ahmad.
1, try to disrupt inside out, not outside in. 2, please do market fit. Market fit is not something that you have to prove exists. You have to just make it happen. And if it doesn't, find something else.
Jedrzej, one quick advice.
Look at the business case and find the first client before you build the tech.
Super. That was a good one. Thank you, guys. Thank you, gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed the panel.